charter review, appointed school committee discussion.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I put that on, I don't know how many of my colleagues were aware of the movement of the Charter Review Commission. They met a couple of weeks ago on back-to-back nights. Kind of, I will say, under the cloak of secrecy. I think the postings were vague. I think there was certainly some concern with the language in the posting as far as transparency to the public. And beyond that, the agenda item that they were going to discuss that wasn't clear to anyone was moving to a fully appointed or hybrid school committee. I think the fact that it caught me by surprise, and I hope it caught the rest of the committee by surprise. I certainly heard from the community that they were caught by surprise from it. And I wanted to put that on here, one, to make those colleagues who may not have had access to the meetings or had heard about it, because it was done so, secretively. And I wanted to put it out there to make the committee aware of it. I think that the Charter Review Commission has since decided to kick it down the road a little bit. I mean, they were literally looking at doing this thing in back-to-back meetings, bringing it to the city council's meeting at noontime on a Wednesday, and then having this as a rider on the special election for the Congressional District 1 Congress seat. And I think it's outrageous. And I think anytime you try and take away somebody's right to vote, they ought to be embarrassed. And if you watch the meeting, and I encourage everybody to watch the meeting, because the level of dialogue that I heard should give everybody who pays taxes in Pawtucket cause for concern. There were some inflammatory, derogatory statements made about the leadership of this committee, about the members of this committee. And I, for one, could name you 2 or 3 people on that Charter Review Committee that I've actually met. And those who spoke ill of us, I don't know that I've met any of them. I think it was outrageous. And for no one to stand up and take ownership on this and say, listen, everybody talks about collaboration in this city. This is what it looks like. This Charter Review Commission, the way they pulled off these meetings, is what the collaboration looks like. So I don't know if everybody has seen it, but that's the reason I put it on the agenda. Mr. Miller?
So I would like to say I did go to, I believe, the second meeting of spring where they talked about it. Erin Dubin was there with her husband and her daughter, and all 3 spoke on behalf. There were residents from the city of Pawtucket who said if you are going to take away the power of the school committee, you take away the power of the state council, because that's pretty much the same. And so we did have people, and they have no right to take away our right to vote. In all my time here, they never ever talked about that. So, but they did say that they were going to postpone it. I did go introduce myself to most of the people on the committee, and there were only 2 who knew who I was, and they didn't know me by sight. So, they're not aware of who their school committee is and what we do.
And I don't mean to disrupt the whole, but they were ready to replace every single one of them, right? And so much so that they thought they were the appropriate. At the chairwoman's direction, it was discussed that the Charter Review Commission could somehow form a committee to interview potential candidates that they would appoint to the school committee. And, I'm gonna leave it here, but we should have spoken in one clear voice as a committee. It shouldn't have been left to individual members either to take to the radio or social media or to stand up in public participation as Ms. Doobie did. We should have spoke loudly as a committee, and we didn't.
So, assuming that some of you have, most of you have seen it, I did go the second night. I want to thank Pat Ford for actually letting us know that it was even going on. I had no idea that this was happening, but I did go immediately to that meeting following the meeting that we awarded the contract to the teachers. I was the only one there from the school department, from the school committee. And I was listening to the chairwoman talk about our lack of leadership, how the voters of Pawtucket are uneducated and don't know what they're doing. And I wasn't going to speak, but you know me, I couldn't help myself. So I did stand up and I spoke. And when I introduced myself, one of the gentlemen on the commission said, "I'm sorry, who are you?" So I sat at this meeting for 2 hours listening to them say how awful we are and how we don't know what we're doing. And they had no idea that I was a school committee. I think it was, again, retaliation, and I will continue to say that, for some decisions that people within the administration didn't like. They're angry and they try to find a way to get us off of the committee, and it's just shameful. It's shameful that they wanted to take away the voting rights. And I will say, and I'm going to direct this at you, Mr. Chairman, it would have been nice if we heard from you and if you stood up for us. I had to stand up for us, right? The newest member, I had to stand up for us and for the voters' rights. And it would have been nice if you had done that. You didn't make a statement publicly, you didn't speak at a meeting, nothing. Not a phone call to us, to me, after that meeting to say, "Hey, Marsha, that, whatever, that must have been tough, boo-hoo, whatever you wanted to say, you didn't say anything." And so, once again, I was left out there, the lone wolf, right? But I'm glad I did, and I would do it again. And again, I think it was shameful. I think it was retaliation for many things that even the chairwoman of that commission mentioned. Poor decisions we made, such as appointing Ms. Royal as our superintendent. There was just so many negative things she said about this committee. And I just wish that I wasn't left there to stand up and speak for this committee. I'm glad the community rallied, and the following week everybody went and spoke up. The community members are mad. They're mad. But had we did not know that this was happening, I would say most of us on this committee would not be opposed.
I completely agree with everyone's statement at this table. As shocking as that might make you feel, Marsha, I completely agree. But Mr. Chabot, you're right. It called me off guard too. I did not know that they were having a meeting, and I didn't get to make the meeting that you went to, Marsha. You represented yourself very well.
Well, I didn't represent myself. I was representing all of us.
But I did not know, because I was still at the administration building when that meeting was going out. We had the teacher contract that was a special meeting. I was still at the meeting. Cooler heads prevail in that charter review commission. If you talk to individuals, if you listen to certain members, they came right out and said this is not a good model to follow. We all heard certain members say that. So the charter review commission, I believe, have cooler heads are prevailing on that one. But I will stay on top of that. But Mr. Chabot, the only thing I would say, I know you're saying one voice should speak. If you guys give me that direction, I will do that, because I do not agree with the way the charter review commission handled this. To hear that there is poor leadership on this committee, that's me. And they were shouting out from their chair that I've been doing a horrible job. So yes, I heard that message loud and clear. I didn't know what was going on until when you sent me that text message, when I saw Mr. Ford's, actually I didn't get to see Mr. you sent me Mr. Ford's, show, so I thank you very much for keeping the public educated on that. So, that's all I have to say about the Charter Review Commission, and it is not going floating, and not, as Jay, you said, they're not doing it in secret because you guys got out there, the community got there.
No, I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I said. They absolutely tried to pull this off in secret. They absolutely did. Cooler heads did not prevail. What happened is public participation, word got out there by me sharing it, by it being in the Boston Globe, by Marsha initially speaking at the first meeting of public participation. And then the meeting, they actually went through with the second meeting, and they had scheduled a meeting for the following week that they were going to review draft language. They were pushing this thing forward. They weren't cooler heads on that committee prevailed. There was 1, 2, possibly 3, but that was it. And then what happened is a slew of community members got down there and made their voices heard. And every single one of them, whether they zoomed in and spoke from remotely or in person, objected to this thing strongly. And then the Charter Review Commission started to turn a bit and say, well, wait a minute, maybe we should pump the brakes on this. I would recommend everyone watch the meetings. Watch the meetings on that Tuesday and Wednesday, the beginning of August, and then watch the subsequent week's meeting. And that'll give you a full understanding of what happened. They were absolutely looking to replace members of this committee. They were absolutely looking to do it on a special election where they know there's going to be low voter turnout. And that's the collaboration you get.
So can I ask a question? I know that, are you still meeting with the mayor regularly, or do you not?
Not regularly, not like it used to be.
Because I wondered how this happened without your knowledge. Like I feel like you guys meet, right? Or meeting regularly. I was kind of like, so you're saying you had no knowledge
No,
of any of this until after the meetings had already happened.
Until after the meeting, until it came out that what they were gonna discuss. I know there's been chatter to actually just like term limits, all that stuff, school committee being appointed, all that chatter's out there. I didn't think it was gonna go as far as it was this time around. This time around, there was actual proposal being said from their, city council, I know, not the city council, but they were in the chambers, so.
Well, Father did already accept it. The chairwoman did, she did very clearly state numerous times that the leadership of this school committee is exactly. No, it was just one of the words she used.
But if she doesn't know who we are, but we take her that information.
Bingo. And we could belabor this and discuss this all night. My purpose of putting it on the agenda was to make those committee members who may not have been aware of it, what happened, and encourage everyone to go out and watch those videos. Because the genesis of this whole thing, as reported by the chairwoman of the Charter Review Committee, was an emailed letter by one resident in the city of Pawtucket. And the main driving issue that resident cited was our not sending kids back soon enough after COVID. I chaired this committee during that time, and the committee spoke in one voice with the teachers union, one voice with the administration, and it was a collective decision. And when we jumped the gun and we were going to keep them out all year, and we got feedback, and we reconvened, reassessed, and brought the students back. But in a city of 80,000 people, one connected member of the community can send an email, and then have it followed up by the last place finisher running for school committee last election cycle. So 80,000 residents, two people connected to the city and send an email and start a chain of events that has the Charter Review Commission that just met a few years ago, reconvene, and then try and push this thing through. Back-to-back meetings, vague agendas, by the school committee hating people among us.